You're listening to the Roofing Success Podcast, a show created to inspire roofing contractors to achieve optimal success in their roofing businesses. I'm the host, Jim Aline, the co-author of the books Internet Marketing for Roofing Contractors and The Best Known Roofer. I'm also the co-founder of Roofer Marketers, the leading digital marketing agency for the roofing industry. On each episode, I sit down with industry leaders to talk about their processes, the lessons they've learned, and how to find success in roofing. Hey, welcome to another episode of the Roofing Success Podcast. Please share, please subscribe, please comment, please leave a review. It gets our content out to more and more people. If you want to take the conversation beyond what you're listening to here in the podcast, go to Facebook, type in Roofing Success, and join the Roofing Success Facebook group. Today I'm here with another contractor, another successful contractor. NorCal is being represented today in American Eagle Roofing and our friend Sean Kennedy. How are you today, man?
I'm doing well. Yourself?
Good, man. So we don't have a lot of California contractors on the show. We've had a few, but not a lot of them. The market is much different in California, I think, than it is in, most of the contractors we talk to are in the Hail Belt. They're in Texas. They're in, storm damage restoration markets. California is a different animal, right? It's not as storm based. You're, focused 100% on retail. And you guys have done a great job of building a really solid company in the Northern California market. So why don't you tell us a little bit about how you got into roofing?
So we saw a bit of a hole in the market. Like you said, there's not a lot of companies out here that are able to scale, a lot of small companies, but being in retail, it's a different animal.
Yep.
We aren't knocking on someone's door, 5 days a week or chasing down a storm that just came through. We're fully reliant on selling a warranted package and giving somebody a roof that's going to last them for the rest of their life. But we started up out here in El Dorado County 2020, 2019. Prior to that, we've had an office in the Bay Area for the past 18 years, but opened up in El Dorado County, it was a complete different market for us. And so in this market, we wanted to make sure that we put transparency first. It's something that wasn't necessarily being brought to light out here. And so it grew like wildfire. Our company is based more like a home residential remodeling company than it is a roofing company. Whereas we're making sure that for one of the biggest purchases of their lives, they're fully involved in every point of the transaction all the way through. And you have solace that you're not being taken advantage of in that process. And then at the same time that you're getting a reputable company that if you call that we're going to answer.
That's kind of the first thing, right? Making sure that you answer, especially, when you're in a market of a lot of small, maybe, kind of mom and pop kind of companies and, owner operator kind of companies, there's a lot of frustration from the homeowner in those moments, right? The lack of communication. And what I like about what you guys, what we've talked about is that like you guys found these gaps, right? Like the customers were not being served in this way in this area. So we are choosing to serve them. The contractors in this area maybe weren't as transparent. So we're going to provide that transparency. Speak to that process of how you kind of put all of those things in place.
So it's on both ends. I mean, it's no con to the small contractor. They don't have time to get a hold of a lot of the homeowners. They're handling every aspect of their company. That's right. So without the ability to delegate or scale that, they can't get to every bit of their market. They either lack in their accounting or they're being able to get a hold of clients or their marketing or whatever it may be. They're wearing a lot of hats. But on the other side of the coin, the companies that grew to a size, they become a marketing machine and less of a roofing company. And so they are very much close on site, try to get the job no matter on whatever circumstances, leaving 30% margins on top so they can give these major discounts that don't actually apply. And that's where our spot was we fit in like that small company. We give them transparency from the beginning, but we're there for them through the whole project. So they don't feel like they got trapped into a project like a car salesman traps you at the lot. And that's where we kind of fit in. And then building into that, in order to have those people that are on board with that process, we try to build in a culture. And so our company is less for profit than it is to build an empire, really, of people that are on the same boat as you and wanting to help people.
So that's the long-term thinking, right? Like the building the empire part. And it's hard to do sometimes because you have bills to pay. You have salaries to pay. You have, right? How do you keep your mindset focused on the long term while maintaining those short term goals are being met and needs are being met to make sure the lights are staying on, the bills are getting paid, the people are pay is being dispersed, right? Like everything is going on that regular basis, but maintaining what the long term vision is.
Reminding ourselves frequently that it's a marathon, not a sprint. And it's a good reminder in a county like this where everyone kind of inherently knows everybody. So it's very much to not take advantage of one person, to give ourselves that quick, big burst of financial, or financial backing. So we try to make sure that we're just making enough to keep this ball rolling. So that way it's enough to just put a tiny bit back into the company while we serve everyone we can with the lowest possible cost we can. And in that, it does make margins thin for us. And so we have ways that we incentivize to keep it going at the speed we need to, because all our guys are hourly. So very quickly, if you make a mistake on the bidding process, we can be underwater on that project within a few hours. It'll really hurt.
Yeah.
But in doing that, we found out that the shadow that the guys need to chase. So that way, it's kind of like Mario Kart. You go around the lap once, and then you're chasing your shadow consistently. And so we know what our guys' pace is, their speed, and we ask them not to kill themselves every day, but to put in that good solid 80% every day, because ultimately that's what's going to make us successful. And in them doing that, we take care of them for keeping us in their mind and taking care of us. And we have a lot of ways that we try to keep their eye on the ball.
Yeah,
really.
For sure. What one of the things we were talking about, like you guys have taken a position on your company employment and things like that a little bit differently than most roofing contractors. Really trying to serve your employees is a big thing that you're trying to accomplish. Talk a little bit about that and where that came from and how it's turning out for you.
Our strategy is less of an employment, more of a deployment. We give the people that are helping us room. And so the rope that they have helps them become the best in their position that they can possibly be. We're not trying to flex them into a key that doesn't fit. And with that, we make sure that they can take care of their families. Each of these guys have, a wife and kids or whatever have you, that they've got bills to pay. And they'll start frothing at the mouth and becoming, they'll need that money. If we're not giving it to them here, then they're going to figure it out somewhere else or somehow. And that at the bottom line is what they need in order to survive and to succeed in their job. And so if we can make that be the last thing that they're worried about, then everything else falls suit. We make sure that they've got health insurance, 401k, that we match it, try to incentivize them to put in more. Health savings plan. We give them kudos for reviews and have systems in place to help them incentivize them to get those reviews. And then we get enough, like you mentioned earlier, we're going to take everyone on a cruise. Do we make the money to take everybody on a cruise? Absolutely not. No, but if I've got to lease a kid off or figure something out in order to get us to that point, we will do it. Come hell or high water, we promise that we would do it. And ultimately it's going to pay dividends in the long run.
Yeah.
And so those little things make us a unique company and make it to where the people that are here are basically on our team.
Yeah. And so you've put together a package that is much more attractive inside of your company versus going to another company in your area also, right? So that you're, just like I think what gets missed a lot of times in the marketing of your business or is that we're marketing to the homeowners, but sometimes we're also marketing to the future employees that we can have in our business. And so having this, just like if you have a specific roof warranty that you're selling, or, you guys are GF Master Elite, you're OC Preferred, um, um, by selling that GAF warranty, you're selling that big benefit to the homeowner. But by selling this benefits package also within your business, you're also selling thinking of that on the attracting employees. How's that worked out for you in finding, I guess, good people?
Well, the grass is green where you water it. And so, other companies, I won't con any because there are some great companies out here. And we keep a good relationship with most of the quality companies that are out here. When anybody would leave a surrounding company, a lot of times they're going to just be looking for that green grass or something that they couldn't get at their previous company, and we might be able to provide that. And a lot of times, the larger the snowball gets, the more that it's going to attract, because you've got, like I said, everyone sort of knows everybody. And so you can put out an olive branch, and when that's extended, it's going to be reciprocated.
Yeah, for sure. And like, so some of the things that you're doing above providing all of those benefits and things like that, like you talked about your crews and like it was like a competition, right? For the most 5-star reviews and things like that. Speak to how you came up, like what this competition is and what you think the benefit will be on the other side of it for American Eagle.
It's on both ends. We have it for production and for what their level of excellence is. So on the service level, we post their production numbers and we post it publicly. And so inside the office, they can see how many squares were installed by each crew, what kind of production numbers they put in. And from then on, they have this little interspur competition to see who can put on the most. But at the same time, we go back and we have a 40-year roofer that's kind of he's kind of the ideal roofing superintendent you can have out here, that's cross-checking all the jobs and making sure that we're doing all the things the American Eagle way and not just necessarily to get the job done, because it is the last roof that they will ever put on. And being a Master Elite contractor, they want to make sure that we're doing it correctly. And so we take it above their statute of standards that they have, and we want to be able to go to any of our roofs, and it doesn't matter what foreman did it, it's going to look the same. And so if it fits that category and the homeowner gives us 5-star reviews, they don't have any go backs, they beat their hours, and they're at the top of that podium, they've definitely got a big chip on their shoulder.
Yeah, for sure.
It helps. It really helps them, feel like they're part of this. And we've got T-shirts for their kids, for the American Eaglettes and the future roofing generation that's going to be coming in and making that snowball that we keep feeding grow.
How did you come to like develop a lot of this culture, the culture stuff? I guess I'll to be super technical in my language, the culture stuff. Like, what kind of, like, where did this come from? Where did is this just things that you guys come up with and sit down and go, hey, let's try this, let's try that to get that buy-in, or are where are you modeling this from, or where are you coming up with it?
Good question. It leads back to the deployment strategy. So it's not me delegating and running everybody in the company. It's all like minds that all want to be part of this and want to see this grow and what they would want to see out of the company. And so any large decision that's made here is made as a party. And with that, there's no authoritarian moves that we make that are, we're doing this because of this reason. It's very much, do you guys think that we should do this? And if so, why or why not? And that comes from all ends and from the bottom all the way up.
So what's your process for that? Do you have a scheduled, like certain meetings of the year that you guys do some of this brainstorming and have that go on? Is this just something that happens on an ongoing basis? What are you doing there?
So a little bit of both. We have sales meetings and foreman's meetings every Thursday, and that helps recap the week, understanding what's next and what's coming forth. And that's going to be on the production side. And then as far as the back office, we work in small confined space with each other. So, I mean, we're everything down to we were doing jumping jacks this morning just to keep the blood flowing and keep the mood light, listen to 90s alternative.
Yeah.
You know, with that, we have a very close connection. We're like a family back here. And so the conduit that we have between the field and the office is very strong, and everyone's involved and knows what's going on in each other's lives. And we're more of a family than we are a corporate entity. And so it's easy for us to build processes.
Nice. And when you're deploying these, like, is it just issues that are coming up on on an ongoing basis that you're turning around and building these processes around it? Like we run EOS in our business, is Entrepreneurial Operating System, which kind of has a framework to this stuff. What do you guys do in there? Or is it just as it comes up, you'll kind of work on that situation?
So as things come up, they do bring new processes because every action needs a reaction. Yep. But we try to, when we find that, we think of any possible things that can be coming up in result of what process we just put in play. And that's where, as a group, a lot of times things come up that we would never even think of on our own. But we then explore and go down these rabbit holes of what if and what would we do in that case. And it's definitely created a very tight wheel, but it doesn't feel like you're put inside of boundaries. We're very blessed in how we have built this and that it actually worked.
Because you never know in business, right? It's like, man, we're all just guessing here to an extent, right? We're all just putting our best foot forward, and we're just trying to see what works. We can look at other companies and other companies in our industry, outside of our industries, and we could do some modeling and say, I think this is going to work out. But really, it's just going to be educated guesses to a certain extent, right?
Yeah, we've gotten lucky. We've got the big side of the wishbone a few times, and
yeah, and that's part of, I think. So it was something that I heard a while ago, and it was actually from someone that I was at a home in the Grass Valley area at a friend's house, and I was talking to someone, and this is when I was much younger, so this is 20 years ago, and we're talking about luck, and one of the people that was in the conversation said, sometimes you create your own luck, and I was like, that just stuck with me.
Yeah,
it's stuck with me for decades now, and it really is true that if you a lot of times the activities that you do and putting these things in place, all of a sudden you start getting lucky.
Fortune favors the bold.
Yeah, right.
You can't have without making changes and making action. You're not going to have any response.
That's
so you can't get lucky if you don't try.
That's right. What is something that you've done recently, or in the past year, or something that you can trace back to that this is, hey, it feels lucky now, but it was that we put this in place.
We've had a couple Hail Mary moments where we decide whether we're going to pay this bill on time or we're going to send this marketing out. I mean, down to waiting at the mailbox for that check to come in and not sure if it's actually going to make it. Yeah. But we deployed those dollars already. So, I mean, that it is a done deal. We at that point, you need the marketing or you need the work coming in. So you have to put out the troops in order to get there. And you don't know if you're going to get that response. You don't know if the clients are still going to keep calling or whatever these moves are, if they're going to pay dividends to you. And those Hail Mary moves happen all the time. Some smaller than others, but sometimes we've got to make a big purchase and we're not quite ready for it. But you do it because if you waited until you're ready, you would have never made the purchase.
Yeah.
Or the opportunity doesn't always knock again.
It doesn't. I like to say, if you have faith in the outcome, you'll execute. And so, like, if you have faith that this is going to happen for you, then you'll execute on what's necessary to get to that point, right? But if you don't believe in what the outcome will be, you're going to stall. You're going to not write that check for marketing. You're going to not do the marketing activities. You may not go and make that the big purchase or go, write the check to wrap your trucks or some of these foundational things that make the phone ring in your business. And it's like, man, will this really help my business? Like, I'm not sure, and that'll stop a lot of stuff right there.
Yeah, it would cut us off at the feet if we didn't make it feels like at the time irrational moves, but
yeah.
when the iron's hot, obviously, but
yeah.
when it comes down to it and you look back at it, you're happy that you made that move, whether it was a positive or a negative, because if it's a negative, you're learning that that's not the direction you should take.
Yeah.
And you can't always win. We lose a lot more than I would like to, but that's just part of the learning experience. And so really we didn't ever lose. We just learned on a specific instance of what not to do.
That's right. Right. There's my son's playing baseball, Little League, it's like his second time playing Little League. And there's real outs this year. He's 7 and there's real outs, and he got thrown out this year. And he in last night's game, and he was like, this was one of those moments. He's like, man, this is like that shouldn't have happened. Like, that should not have happened. I do not want that to happen again. And so those are those. I was talking to a friend of mine, and I'm like, you know what? I like that he had what came out of him was, I don't want that to happen anymore. Not that he wanted to quit baseball and do all that. He just didn't want that to happen anymore, right? And so, it's kind of along that same analogy is like, you get these bumps in the road, right? That these lumps that you take along the way, and you have to just shape and mold your business into, we're not going to go down that road again, right? We want to focus our energy in a different place. How you guys, like you said, you started out about 18 years ago.
Yes. Yeah. In San Mateo area. And I got involved in early 2019.
Okay.
And that's when I started looking at that first Hail Mary of opening up a branch out here, and weren't exactly sure what the outcome was going to be of that.
Yeah. And that's, what thought was put into that second branch, and then what, I guess, how did you establish a presence in that market?
A lot of hard work. When we first started, it was me, a couple carpenters from my previous construction company, and some faith. And then from that point, we did make one really, really, really strong acquisition, and someone bought into the promise. And with no reason to, we opened up a tiny little warehouse with nothing but a dream. Didn't have T-shirts. We had nothing. It was all on a whim. And so with that first acquisition, we had built in our first family member. And then it just started from there. We together started working with property management companies, just knocking on their doors, giving them cookies. And then from there, we made some door hangers. Anything to try to grab a job. We speak to people in the grocery store. Really anybody trying to share the good news, really.
Yeah.
And as we got opportunities, we had things that happened well, and then we had failures as well. But it was always to steer us back in the right direction. And it was hard to get the ball rolling at first, but it ultimately, we just kept inching it along and making it happen. And then it didn't help us that COVID started, and we were too new of a business up in this area to collect any dividends from that. So we went it alone, and we just kept pushing and grinding and said, we can do one more week. And we got one more week. Let's just keep going. And eventually we got through that, and we hit our stride about a year and some change ago, where everything that we've been doing and trying to yell to the world finally grabbed. And before you know it, we've got a yard sign on, every corner, for every house that's been installed by us. And then we've got people that are on our side and homeowners on our team that want to leave a yard sign for 6 months out in front of their home just to help us. And it makes it's really neat when your son, when you're driving around in town, and I live in town here, sees a sign of yours or a billboard or a truck everywhere we go. I mean, yesterday he spotted one on the side of the road, and he was out getting fuel in his truck. He's like, "Hey, there's one of your trucks." And I had no idea it was over there, but it was really, it's neat when your kids are so on board that they want to wear your company t-shirts more than their own clothes.
Yeah, that's awesome. And that's what in the beginning, and one of the things that I like about the way that you guys did it, it was, really grassroots effort, right? And really the key word there is effort. You just kept putting yourself in front of people over and over again until you started, you built some momentum, but that momentum takes time to build.
Yeah. We didn't have the finances for it, I can tell you that.
Yeah. And there's, a lot of people try to take shortcuts, and it just doesn't work. Like now you have raving fans in the community, right? You have people that are going to champion your company over all others, for years to come, and doing it that way, bootstrapping it and just grinding it out every day, all day, every day until you got that momentum. And now it feels different. Does it, or I should ask you, does it feel different now that the ball is rolling?
In one sense, yes. I mean, we did learn, we were very humble in the beginning. And so every creative marketing strategy, we would take advantage of it. If it was $200 to be in, at some concert, or if we could go out there and just, give out free water bottles to people with it, and then get some logos printed on a water bottle and strap it on there and just give it to everyone. It was those little weird, odd things that helped and just becoming known, to where they recognize the name, they recognize the logo, and then maybe they give us an opportunity to talk to them. And it really helped, because once we were able to be in front of folks and show that we were different, it became a snowball. And it feels different in that regard now, because we do have folks that call in and refer their neighbor, refer their friends, and that they saw I did their neighbor's roof, or we did their uncle, brothers, and their sisters, their nephew's roof, and they heard great things about us, or they looked at our reviews on Google, and it's definitely, in regard to that, gotten easier.
Yeah.
But that just means once it gets to a certain point, then you just got to do it again, and try to make another mountain, and try to use the things that worked for us and the things that didn't, and I try to move off of that.
So you mentioned like local concerts and things. What other local events did you get involved in? Because a lot of times those are missed opportunities. Gosh. People are like, well, I don't know if is anyone are my customers going to be there? Like, what is going to be the direct return on investment from doing this? And I think that's just the wrong mindset.
No, you can't. Every opportunity is an opportunity. It wouldn't be an opportunity if it wasn't put in front of you. Down to like the concerts. That's a very small one that we just push into, or just anywhere you can be in front of people. If you're in a position like sponsoring your local baseball team, it's small, but it's very personal. And if you're on the back of their t-shirts, it's first conversations with the teammates or the other parents, and maybe the other team. And who knows, you may meet one person out of that, but that one person can become 5 if you take good enough care of them. That's
right. Yeah. And I think that's what the most successful roofing companies owners do, or roofing companies do, is they have they understand that it's not just one, that there's a long-term value to that customer, right? And so being able to, I would say, turn one into many, right? So by doing quality work for that one person and taking care of them, you're going to create opportunities from that. Do you guys have any specific processes that you do in that regard, or is it just,
As far as marketing, or
yeah, let's talk about marketing. What are you guys doing on your marketing stuff?
I try to lean between 4 and 6%, but that's sometimes it proves difficult, because we allocate the truck wraps into that marketing budget and things of that nature.
It should be included for sure. Yep.
And when we get crazy opportunities, like we just got a billboard, is it going to bring anybody in? Probably not. But it's one of those small milestones that you wanted to get to in starting something like this. And so, you know what? Sure, great. We've got one for a full year. It's going to cost a sizable chunk of our marketing budget, but let's do it. We know it's not going to do anything, but it may be that time that that 1.5 million people drive by that every day. And at the time that their friend now brings up us, then they recognize the company, they recognize the name, and maybe then they start seeing our trucks on the road.
Yeah.
But as far as our process, it's continually changing.
Yeah.
Behind my desk, I'm consistently analyzing what our marketing strategies are, how we're going to change in that, and trying to do a lot of our own renderings in-house, so that way we can be hip to the punch and constantly be moving in that. I was working on one before our meeting for a local summer spectacular for fireworks that are coming up in July. The buy-in wasn't too big on it, and we were able to get a banner on the stage and sponsor the firework booth there. Back when we started, if we had the opportunity to just to be one of the names at the bottom of the t-shirt, or just to go there and have our guys and pay all our guys to go there and wear their t-shirts, it would be something that we would do, just so that way we can have a presence and be there immensely, whatever it is.
It's brand awareness. People, like you had mentioned, like they maybe see that billboard and then their friend references you, and now they're like, oh yeah, I see that company all over the place. Oh yeah, that's who I will call. There's no, it's very challenging when you focus on an approach on more of a brand approach like that, to directly attribute this dollar came from this billboard, right? Like it's a hard thing to do, but you will see an overall uptick in most cases, right? Over, through all of these efforts together. So now you have the banner on the stage there, you have the billboard here, you have this there, you're doing that there. It all adds up. People start seeing your trucks around, and you guys aren't in a huge metropolitan area, right? It's a more smaller towns in that part of California. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. If you try to cast too wide of a net, you're not going to get the response that you're looking for. It's just because it's too diluted. And so if you're everywhere in one area, it's impossible to miss. And the way that we see it is ultimately just try to get into those areas and really show yourself for a short period of time, and then slowly show yourself after that, if you can't afford to stay in the area.
Yeah.
And that way the point was made, the message was put in, and now it's in their memory bank. They still see us, just not as often. And hopefully, we're able to grow from that and become what we are in our area and surrounding areas. So that way, again, we can share the message and, maybe bring more people into the backside and the production side of the company. And it's one of those ones that we feel like we're very blessed to have here. Kind of like how everyone talks about Google has slides and ball pits and stuff inside of their office. We try to have that same feeling to where you're happy about it. You're an advocate for the business when you're outside of here because it's yours. Ultimately, this is a cumulative process, or a collective that we all put together. And without all of these pieces, we wouldn't be who we are.
Yeah. So with that buy-in from your employees, and like you'd mentioned, maybe we just buy them tickets to the concert and they all wear their shirts and stuff like that. They are they are not just employees, they are advocates for your business all the time.
Absolutely. I'm just a pawn in our business at this point. Now it's them. I'm here to just slow things down and mess things up. So it's come to a point where we've brought in people that are so much better than the owners in every aspect that I'm just here for a good time now and to look at the next hill we got to climb.
Yeah. And that's really the objective, right? You do, as a business owner, you want to be bringing in people that are more skilled in that specific position, right? Whatever position you're looking to hire for, whether it's on the production side or, office management or accounting or whatever it is, you want someone that's better than you. You may be able to do it, but you want someone that's better than you. Maybe I was just talking to an owner recently. He's like, I am the lead salesman still to this day. They're a top 100 roofing contractor in the country, Roofing Contractor Magazine top 100. And he said, I am still the top sales person in our company.
Well, that's not fair. He's the owner.
But that's his choice, right? Like he chooses to really to sit in that seat, right? And he understands his skill set in that seat, right?
Yeah,
like,
he knows that he's a salesman. He can hone that. He can focus on sales while the people around him are able to do the things that he can't quite do as well.
That's right.
Same exact process here. I would love to sell every day. I am really focused on the growth. So I'm a lot of times on the back.
Yeah.
And if I could choose one thing, it would be to sell. But yeah, my close rate's way higher than everyone else's, but I get to also cherry pick jobs and take the best ones because I'm sitting right next to the person who takes the calls. So it's not fair in that regard, but still it's an easy coin to drop and to go out there and tell them that you're the owner. It really builds trust that they know that they're going to get the best service immediately and that they're talking to the top of the food chain. And that's where our salesmen, they feel that it's just as much theirs as anybody else's. And they go out with that mentality that this is mine, I own this, and they're not being controlled in what they do. Just go out and it's deployed, not employed. Yeah.
Because you guys are up to, what did you say, like almost 30 employees now in the business?
Yeah, we're scratching it.
Yeah. And so so I want to go into a little bit more of what you said there. Like, you can do it, but you may be able to do it better, but you're not going to do it anymore. Right? Like it's, not that you wouldn't jump in to help or anything like that, but I think there's a big block with people in that regard.
Yeah.
Where they're like, but they can't do it as well as I can.
Absolutely. Yeah. That's a hard spot to get out of. This isn't my first business. And in the past, it was, I can't find anybody to do it as good as me. And I can't split myself in two. So I guess this is just going to be what it's going to be. But one of my proteges had told me in the past that if you find somebody that can do it at 70% of what you can, give them the job. And that was at the beginning the case. Find somebody who can do it, give them the spot, let them shine, let them grow, and then teach them on the way. Now I'm hiring people that are 200% what I am, or ever could be, because we've been blessed with that opportunity. But that 70% mentality is kind of what made me open my eyes. That maybe they're not going to be as good as me at this, but they give them the opportunity to become that.
That's right. And I like that, because you're not accepting that they're only 70% of what you could be at this moment in time. You're saying they're 70% now, but as they grow in this position, they could get to 80, 90, or 120% of what I could do in here, depending on how much, they focus, or they, how well they are developed in that position.
Yeah. And the owners are always going to feel like they're better. It's just, that's how it was in the beginning when I was really small. I thought that nobody can, pick up a hammer as well as I could. I was the best in the West. It's just, but it really, in reality, there are so many good people out there if you open your eyes and you give them the opportunity to shine. And, we'll bring, if anybody's got the aptitude, you can teach that, but you can't teach trust. And so if they have the right pieces of the pie and they're just lacking a little bit of skill or whatever it may be, you bring them around people that have that, and eventually it kind of turns into a wildfire.
Definitely.
It develops very quickly.
Yeah, for sure. You guys have, one of the things you told me when we were talking the other day was that it's start to finish excellence, right? You really have focused on this start to finish. Go talk about that a little bit and how you focus on that and what you do in that regard.
So as our process, it just has refined itself. And like we were talking about earlier, from the initial call, we want to make sure that they hear a friendly voice in that line. And so we have been blessed to get what we feel is the best of the best to take that first initial call. That person carries the project until it is sold. She helps facilitate the sale. She works with the salesman. She talks with the homeowners. She's very tight with the routing and getting them to the jobs and making sure that they have it laid out on a silver platter for them. The salesman, the same thing. When it's done, they have their duties and responsibilities to get it to the next level. And when that baton's passed, they don't need to touch it unless it's on fire. So then it goes to production. Production's going to take it, run it through its entire course, and making sure that they're followed up every day. They know where they're at in the stage of the project. They feel like it's like they are in control with the entire thing and that we have it under control. Moving out of that, then it moves to post job. It's a small office that does quite a bit. That post job does all of our, she's our controller. She is that initial backbone that I told you in the very beginning. And so you have those three people that take it from the beginning, middle to the end of the project. And the person at the end of the project, takes those and builds other things inside of the company, does Facebook and Instagram posts and builds our input, sends, cards to the customers after we're done with a thank you and a card, and just ask for the second review, make sure that everything went well. And they have so much opportunity to keep us in the know. And so that way we don't end up finding out if there was something that they were not exactly thrilled about months down the line. It's constant communication all the way through.
Yeah, that is probably the biggest pain point to solve for in dealing with homeowners is the constant communication all the way through and making them feel and understand where the project is in, what every detail that's going on, because it can get away from you quickly. And sometimes it's not something that is happening. They could be stewing in it at home, wondering when am I going to find out if I'm going to get on the schedule, or when am I going to get on the schedule, or when are materials going to arrive, or what? Like they start to get into these bad places, right? If you are not communicating on that ongoing basis. So you've tasked a person to do that communication.
Yeah, and we have a process that keeps us.
Yeah.
Exactly. And our client management system really helps us to keep attention to the customer, or remind us, or pass memos back and forth. And that process is super streamlined. So in that thread that we have, that every client goes through, everyone knows where the baton is passed, mm-hmm. and they own their zone of that. And so, the person at the end of the project has no idea what's going on with the project until it's in their court, so they can focus 100% on the projects in front of them. And we're all small enough to where we can easily dive in and see the notes that the other took and step in, cross-train each other in their positions. But ultimately, it's been a process that we've been refining and continue to refine until we have it perfect.
And that's another, that statement right there is powerful for people listening, because it doesn't have to be perfect the first time you do it. You have to just continuously make improvements. And it'd be hard pressed to say, Sean, that you won't be making improvements on this 10, 15 years from now. Absolutely. That you'll still be making improvements, right?
I'll look back at this conversation between you and I and go, gosh, you are a fool.
Yeah. And I truly believe that if you do not look back 5 years from now and go, wow, it was just the way we were doing things was so elementary. And I'm almost embarrassed of what that looks like now, right? That 5-10 years from now, you look back and you go, man, I can't believe we ever, that's almost embarrassing now for how far we've come from there, right?
Absolutely. And it's all growth. If we can continue to grow, then we'll be fine. We have to continue to learn and grow. That same 70% rule. And if we're getting the opportunity out here to give in the capacity that we are, all we can do is try to get better, become that perfect contractor. And it's never going to be. So it's a pursuit that we're always looking at the light at the end of the tunnel, and it just keeps getting farther. As soon as we get 2 steps closer, it's 3 steps ahead of us. And
that's right.
As long as you keep walking, you'll be okay.
That's right.
We're picking up stuff along the way.
Yeah. What would you say the greatest insight is that you can share with our audience that has helped you guys find success in your roofing business?
Just constant pressure, just consistent pressure. We get met with adversity every day, and it never gets easy to take in, anything that's not what you were thinking or it's out of the norm, but just making sure that you handle it with stride and you don't let it crush you. And that's probably the biggest thing for us is to not sweat the small stuff so much, but pay attention to it because it may be a precursor for something larger.
Awesome. This has been another episode of the Roofing Success Podcast. If you would like to generate more revenue through your digital marketing efforts, please visit roofermarketers.com to get a copy of the book, The Best Known Roofer. Also, check the training section of the website for guides on everything from running effective pay-per-click ads to how to properly set up your Google My Business listing. Thanks for listening.